Hey, Richard Bryce here. In this video, we're going to be talking about a topic that's really important and personal to me, and that is overcoming negative self-talk on court. This is something that I struggled with for a long time. I was constantly saying negative things to myself. It caused me to play worse, but it also reduced my enjoyment for the game. So you may know what this is like. You might be the sort of person that says things to yourself and basically has this voice inside your head which really doesn't do you any good at all. So what I want to do is show you a three-step approach that I used that was really effective to help me address the issue and become more positive on court, because that's what I want for you as well. I want you to be happy when you play tennis, I want you to be enjoying it, and I want you to be able to perform better. So I'm looking forward to showing you these different steps. If you find this video helpful, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, it would be great if you could do that. Also, I'd love to hear your thoughts as you go through this video. Okay. Okay, so the first step, if you want to address negative self-talk, is you have to make yourself aware of the things that you say to yourself on court. Some people are, some people aren't, but if you're the sort of person that doesn't really recognize what you're saying, and I play with these people quite a lot now, they're just constantly berating themselves and telling themselves they suck and saying all these bad things to themselves, and they don't even know about it. So if you aren't aware of what you're saying to yourself, that's the first step. You've got to make yourself aware. So when you're practicing, when you're playing matches, basically every time you're on a tennis court, start to listen to the things that you say to yourself and notice what you say. Step number two is we're going to start to reprogram your brain so that you can be more positive. And it really is going to be a bit of a process and something you're going to have to practice and something you're going to have to work on. Now, the way that we're going to do this is we're going to be basically saying positive affirmations to block out the negative self-talk. So every time you recognize you're saying something negative to yourself, you just start repeating certain mantras or affirmations or comments or statements over and over again in your head. Now, it might feel weird, it might feel false, but it doesn't matter. Our brains can only pay attention to so much information in one go. So instead of allowing yourself to go, oh man, I suck, I shouldn't, this is terrible, you just got to go, you know, there's different things that you could say, but a really simple affirmation or statement that you could say is, I'm a positive tennis player, I always focus on every shot. Or I'm a positive tennis player, I work hard on every point, I watch the ball onto the strings every time. I'm a positive tennis player, I work hard on every point, I watch the ball onto the strings every time. Or I keep my feet moving on every point, I watch the ball onto the strings, I'm a positive player. And like, I know that sounds ridiculous when I say it to you on camera like this, but it doesn't matter. Because of the way that our brains function, saying this over and over again prevents you from thinking negative things, and it starts to literally reprogram you. And it's a case of practice. The way our brains function, if we do something over and over again, we get better at it. So this isn't like a metaphorical thing that we're talking about. Like the neurons, the way the nerves, the brain cells connect and talk to each other, they actually get closer and closer together, and these pathways get stronger. The neurons get more efficient at sending these signals. So if you allow yourself to be negative, that becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. Conversely, if you just start saying these positive things in your head, although it might feel absolutely ridiculous at first, by doing it, it prevents the negative thing from happening, and it starts to rewire this positive pathway. So you've interrupted that negative cycle and you've started to create a positive cycle. And by doing that on a consistent and regular basis, it's going to make a really big difference in your ability to be positive on court. The third part of this is going to be about learning to control your breathing. Now, this is going to be important for a number of reasons. It's going to have a direct effect when you're on court, but it's also actually going to start to train and address maybe some of the underlying causes that are causing you to be so negative in the first place. And I'll talk a little bit more about that part in a moment at the end of the video. But in terms of controlling your breathing, negative self-talk can be related to kind of an imbalance between fight and flight and rest and digest, because we kind of got a stress part of the nervous system and a relaxation part of the nervous system. Now, when we play tennis, we actually need to have a balance of the two. We don't want to be completely chilled out, but we also can't be completely stressed and worried, because that's when bad stuff starts to happen. So one of the big things that we can do to control that is to regulate our breathing. So in terms of calming your nervous system down, you want to be breathing in through your nose. It's not going to be a big breath, it's just going to be a regular breath. Pursing your lips and doing a long, slow exhale. The key here is really that long, slow exhale. So you just do that while you're on court. After you've played your point, you just... And it's really simple. And obviously what we're going to do is we're going to combine both of them. We're going to say positive statements or affirmations, whatever you want to call them, at the same time you control your breathing. So, you know, you don't have to let yourself become negative. You don't have to say bad stuff into your head, say bad stuff to yourself before you start doing this, and I highly advise you don't. You just, as soon as you finish the point, you start to control your breathing and you start to say those things in your head. So I'm breathing in, breathing out, and as I do that, I'm thinking, I'm a positive tennis player. I work hard on every point. I move my feet constantly. I'm a hard-working tennis player. I'm positive on every point. I move my feet constantly, and I watch the ball onto the strings every time. I'm a positive tennis player. And you just got that reoccurring in your head as you... And you will be amazed what will happen to the way that you feel on court if you practice this on a regular basis. So that's the three-step process. Very, very powerful, but you have to use it and you have to practice it. Like I said a moment ago, these neurons, they wire. It gets easier to be negative the more negative you are. So you have to break that habit and you're going to have to work on this whole being positive thing for a while, even though it's going to feel really weird at first. But I promise you, if you keep on doing it, it will get better and it will really help you. But before I close out the video, I want to kind of talk about some other things that might be going on. There are potentially underlying things that can increase the likelihood of you being negative. Now this goes a little bit deep, and I've created a masterclass that kind of goes into a lot more detail about the mental toughness and the neuro side of things, so I'll place a link down below. But what I also want to show you, I've created another resource for you to see whether you're interested in seeing this sort of thing. Like I said, I dealt with a lot of anxiety on court. I was a very negative person when I was younger. I had a lot of stuff going on and it really affected me on court. There was one drill that I found in particular that pretty much changed my life in the space of about a week, and really allowed me to transform my mental state on court by addressing some of the underlying stuff that I had going on. So I've created a video that I'm going to place a link down below so you can check that out and watch it and see what you think and see if it resonates with you, and then if it does, then we can chat further and I can teach you more about that kind of stuff. Okay, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this video. If you've got any questions or comments, leave them down below, and of course if you haven't subscribed to my channel, really appreciate it if you could do that. And yeah, I'll see you next time.